Devil May Cry is certainly one of the games of all time. Released in 2001, it was re-released in the Devil May Cry HD collection in 2012, including the first 3 games in the series. My first playthrough took place during the year 2022, so while the nostalgia trip isn't entirely lost on me, I'm not exactly coming in here with rose-tinted glasses. The game wastes no time in showing its age. What is this, dancing? Fighting? What are you trying to convey here? This demon dude stood against hell alone? With what, his slow spins? His slow jump kicks? The fuck? Our call to action literally falls out of the sky in the form of a woman named Trish. When did this come out? Yeah, that figures. I know her eyes aren't sensitive, why the hell is she wearing sunglasses at night? She steals some random person's motorcycle to drive through the front door, as one does I guess. We get an exposition dump about how Dante's dad is a legendary devil, he lost his brother and mother to devils 20 years ago, yada yada yada. And this plot point is going to come up constantly, isn't it? They exchange thinly veiled threats for reasons when she stabs him. And seriously? It was literally 30 seconds since you last brought it up. I timed it. I'm not even 2 minutes into the game. Some poor bastard has their motorcycle hooked at us, and we get to see our weapons in action for the first time. Aren't they beautiful? She has the audacity to claim she's not my enemy and removes her sunglasses to reveal that she reminds Dante of his mother. And so he immediately trusts her. After, like, his whole place is still on fire. What the actual fuck were the early 2000s? Anyways, there's a big bad held up on an island that doesn't seem to be near anything else in the world. No idea how we got here. Regardless though, since the story just disappears, we have a moment to discuss the rules. You've hopefully read the title, or had it read to you. To ask the titular question though, can you beat Devil May Cry with only guns? Right off the bat, this means I'll have access to Ebony and Ivory, my twin pistols. First and foremost, I'll be using guns. And no, a stunning revelation. They'll be my source of damage. There will be no swinging of swords when it's not absolutely necessary. This means I'll be using them to activate buttons and move environmental pieces, but not unless it's mandatory to progress. Items aren't guns, so despite having access to many, I won't be using any consumables. Yellow orbs for revives, devil stars to restore devil trigger, no healing, no AoE, just guns. I will be making use of Devil Trigger, which is basically an amped state that Dante can enter, and it is technically linked to the melee weapon that you're carrying. That being said, I fundamentally refuse to do this run without it. It will be the only real healing I'll have access to, and I'm not good at this game. That being said, I won't be purchasing any upgrades for either of the melee weapons you can improve. This means I won't have access to flight or double jumps, which were what carried me through my casual playthrough. Now, one of these suits of armor has a quarter of a health upgrade that I would love to have for this run, but my pistols can't break most objects, and I don't technically need it, so I'm forced to walk by the free health. This is gonna be a running theme. To clarify something real quick, I don't have any control over camera angles, and it's bad. It's really bad. After a brief fight with my ability to see, come on. Yeah, I noticed. Come on. Alright, we get our first taste of combat. Please keep in mind that for every shot you see Dante firing, there's a jackass hammering a fire button. Because the only way to fire quickly in the series is to spam the same button, so this is gonna be a lot. Basic enemies can block bullets for a moment, but they seem to get overwhelmed really quickly. Come on, man, just give it to me. This is the first example of a button that I'll literally need to hit. No two ways around it, I slap around the button and ride the elevator down. We kill some things and come back up. In retrospect, I have no idea why that whole thing was necessary, but it is. This game asks you to fill in a lot of blanks for yourself, so I'll be taking a shot at it. The big bad Mundus has a brownie recipe hidden somewhere on this island, and after avenging my dead family, finding it is on the top of my priority list. This table has another thing that I can't get. Sure would be nice. Now to aim you have to hold the right bumper. To shoot, you can press either the left or right face button, but why? Why are there so many buttons involved? Why can't I just shoot? There are a lot of buttons that overlap. Like, taunt is done by pressing down on the right analog stick or hitting the right trigger. Why are there so many overlapping buttons on a game that came out on PlayStation 2? It's not like it was hurting for viable options. Dante is stabbed by, I guess, a semi-sentient sword? See, this is why we're using guns. I haven't shot myself even once, but my new melee weapon already impaled me. Also, that crossguard is fucking huge, and it literally just went through my head. There are 1,001 ways you could have gotten that sword out of you in a less harmful fashion, and you chose that? Also, if he's so durable, why do I take so much damage to basic attacks? Also, was the slow-mo even cool when this game was made? He kind of just flails the sword around like a child that has literally no idea how to hold a weapon before his coat just sort of vanishes. Yeah, I don't think I didn't see that. HD my ass. Also, according to an enemy file from way later in the game, this sword is the form of the Spirit of Lightning. I guess it increases brightness or something? Now this table holds the second available gun for this game, so I just need to break it. Are you fucking serious? Okay, yeah, fine, whatever. Why the fuck would I even want a gun in a gun-only run? That's fine, not like I wanted to deal actual damage. By my own rules, I can't pick up the shotgun, and I'm not okay. God, fuck this game. I need to move this off this trapdoor, so I do. A swing I must. I pick up one in a long line of random MacGuffins that allow the story to proceed. Then a new enemy type pops out. They can phase through walls, dodge bullets, because Dante has the aim of a cross-eyed armadillo, and I'm stuck with them in a tiny-ass room designed by a gibbon. With stun locking and enemy targeting being incredibly accurate, I died. I did that a lot this run. And do you know what that means? That's right! I got to restart from the beginning of this mission! Feel what it's like to be a corn dog, relive the trauma, get the key, move the thing, and okay, take 2. God! Fucking! No, that's fine. I don't have anything to do this year. Now I stepped outside the area to see a bunch of spiders running around. On autopilot, I stomped a good few out while shooting the rest, and then it dawned on me. Feet aren't guns. And I killed them. Back we go! Shocker, it's shit! Okay, I am not having a repeat of that incident, so I very carefully handle the infestation with rapid-fire handguns with seemingly infinite bullets. You know, as one does. Okay, just 21 more missions to go. Why am I doing this again? This mission has this examine tablet that tells us to go across a bridge. We find a slab that tells us to go back to the tablet, and the bridge clearly set us up as it strikes us with lightning. You can't hide the brownies forever, Mundus! We're attacked by skulls underwater because Capcom is weird, where we're teleported back up. A fruitful endeavor. We pick up the tablet that has accepted us as its new god, where we're attacked by a giant scorpion. Giving it a tail does not make it any less of an arachnid, Capcom. You bastards are just as guilty of putting spiders where they don't belong, which is anywhere. Fuck them! This fight goes swimmingly. By which I mean I had to go swimming again, because I died. Tablet, slab, water, scorpion. Now, here's where a little more information comes in handy. Devil Trigger slowly heals you over time. I need the health, but Ebony and Ivory are hardly charged up. If I'm close enough to an enemy though, I can taunt to gain some of my gauge back. Keeping some berries between myself and the totally not spider allow me to heal myself for free, as long as he doesn't do his lava pillar attack. Because I can't dodge the fireballs to save my life. After a total of 6 deaths, I finally managed to outlast him, and I can finally move on to Mission 4. This challenge feels really front-loaded. To clarify something real quick, the Arachna asshole isn't dead. Far from it. It immediately begins chasing us into the next mission, and any of my attempts to fight it led to really fast deaths. Funny enough though, you can essentially cancel the whole sequence by going into a room somewhere down the hallway, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. It was about here that I realized that the elevator button now houses another health upgrade at the bottom, but I don't need it to proceed, so I can't hit the button. The slab, I guess, gave a lion statue glowing eyes, and I needed to hit it to do the whole, it looks like a boss fight, but welcome in a new basic enemy shtick. They're at least not super common, but immune to melee attacks. That sure hurts us and our chances. Sarcasm aside, once you shoot them enough to expose their core, they become immune to ranged attacks. This is a problem. I spent a while trying different things, but it turns out that they're actually really easy to handle. I struggled a lot with these guys in my normal playthrough when I tried it months ago, but if you don't attack them, they become a lot less aggressive. When they eventually use their spear attack, you can just jump on top of it. From there, you can shoot them, which does damage to their core, meaning a single cycle is all it takes for them to detonate. We pick up an incredibly impractical looking sword to stab a statue to get a ball, and we're treated to a cutscene where I take it all back. This game is a masterpiece. 10 out of 10. Game of the year, every year. 2001, more like 2,000 times the only one you'll ever need. Just that face. That's it. That's the peak of gaming. We can't descend any higher. Pack it up. Throw it in. Hot damn, the fuck is that animation? Turns out our reflection is actually a devil dude who gestures at us to come fight him because talking is for nerds, and as you can tell by our trench coat leather, Dante is too hip for that. Now we have another boss fight on our hands, and this guy is clearly meant to be more imposing than the multi-legged monstrosity, so it stands to reason that this fight is going to push me to my limits. I'm actually going to willingly reset here to head back and farm this room for a bit. They may look like the scissor enemies, but they're totally different. And by totally different, I mean functionally the same. But the room is bigger, and with this game's camera, that's basically all I needed to stand a chance. They go down pretty quickly when 90% of my bullets aren't wedged in the wall. After some conflict, he runs away and then challenges me to follow. This fight is indeed going to be challenging. Yep, I could fail any minute now. Alright, he moved again, and there's no way the devs would let me get away with the same thing twice. Despite our dominating victory, Dante gets grabbed, and the devil sees the amulet that hangs around Dante's neck during plot-convenient times only. He appears to be in pain before fleeing. It's a good thing I had that to save me. I happen to have one of the only two to exist. The other one vanished with my long-lost brother. We need to return a soul to a spot to open a door, because I know one of the ingredients has to be vanilla extract. It goes in everything! We begin Mission 6 by going to get another key that's protected by a bunch of bug things in the arbitrary sewer level. They're not super threatening, but the ones on the ground are pretty tanky, and they have a grab attack. It doesn't do much damage, but Dante escapes via sword, so getting grabbed is an auto reset. We make our way to a stronger version of the Scissor Bastards in an even smaller room than the last time. Now, a large part of me wants to curse Capcom for the decision-making that went into making this hellish encounter, but I will instead ask a question. Why? Why, Capcom? Why would you do this? Why would you do this? It's so bad! To clarify my feelings further, this thing only takes damage when it's hit on the head. I can't exactly aim except by where I'm positioned relative to it. Hitting literally the rest of it is useless. It also sometimes becomes completely immune to damage. I spent so long fighting him that I figured I could maybe find someone else talking about this fight online. You know, since it was kicking my ass, surely I couldn't be the only person struggling. Aside from the wave of people suggesting different sword maneuvers for handling it, I found one person saying that it's effectively immune to guns in general. And I couldn't disprove that at the time. I had to just hope that it was possible and redo the fucking bug hunt every time I died. Because its hitboxes are huge, and this room isn't. Remember, I'm still mashing that shoot button. This is all manual button presses for every fucking bullet. I'm beginning to think they give you multiple shoot buttons for when you break one. But I'd have a backup button for one fucking game, I guess. I eventually noticed that I was slowly removing the horns off the skull. That is tangible change. The successful attempt at this fight, I say again, the successful attempt at this fight, took 11 minutes, 28 seconds. For the record, that means that for the finished run, nearly 3% of the whole game was spent on this fucker. This isn't even a boss! After putting that hell behind me, I pick up a key that slowly drains my health because I already knew that you used chocolate chips. Who doesn't put chocolate chips in brownies? Also, the Scorpion is back because this game reuses literally every boss it has. It took me 2 playthroughs and rewatching the footage for the second playthrough to realize that they reused every boss in the entire game. After shooting a lot of bugs, I activate an elevator to take me back up to offload this pain. Of course, the sewer level is immediately followed by a roof level where the Scorpion gives dialogue worthy of an elementary school playground. Like, is that seriously meant to be a threat? And you call yourself a fiend. Side note, the series seems to use devil and demon interchangeably, but I prefer D in definitions. I don't know if this being is lawful, but I'm inclined to believe that at least Mundus is a devil rather than the more chaotic and destructive demon. Also, this was the easiest time I had fighting this thing. I don't know if I was finally genuinely getting better, or if the size of the arena combined with a larger and inaccurate moveset just made for an easier time. Either way though, we skewer the nasty thing, and it thinks Dante is his dad. Trish remarks at how incredible my firepower is, but it hasn't changed since the beginning of the game. I pick up a trident that's apparently another ritual weapon that can't be used for anything other than opening another door, because I know you're not doing anything special to cook it. I know you're just using a basic-ass oven, Mundus. You hear me? Making my way back inside, I found the savior for this godforsaken run. The grenade gun has gun in the name, and I will hear no arguments against this being a gun. I hit a switch to lower a drawbridge, because Dante wants out of this building as badly as I want out of this fucking run, and then have a brief encounter with the true final boss of this game. The camera. Finally getting some fresh air. Oh, real nice. They went for the spring-loaded drawbridge. I'm sure I won't have to go on an unnecessarily long goose chase to lower that. Outside, I'm introduced to whatever the fuck these things are, and I introduce them to grenades. So my new gun is pretty clearly slower than Ebony and Ivory, but it hits like a truck. It can actually knock enemies down, which is a godsend. I can't shoot in the air, and the projectiles are slow, but I'm more than willing to just trade some speed and maneuverability for this monster of a gun. I activate some platforms using my sword because I have to. From there I do some platforming. Let me just state for the record that I can't remember a single game I've ever played that had worse platforming than this one. I'll also be rocket punched by Hellfire gauntlets that burn me, I guess. Didn't take any damage, and despite their threat, I now have fire fists that I can't use for much of anything. Outside, there's a lot of red lightning, and something that's referred to as Griffin. Not gonna lie, one of the coolest designs in this game. It of course brings up my dad, and not only did I beat this on my first try, but I did it without getting hit. I was shocked to say the least. Is this how you're supposed to play this game? Is this what the average Devil May Cry player looks like, and I just had a peek at normal competence? I use the Fire Fist to ignite a flame for the only use that these gauntlets will ever have in store for me. You kids, get off of my lawn! I wander into a weird, foggy, forest-ish area with a light that will allegedly guide me to where I want to go. Good thing Dante trusts any random thing that tells him what to do. Also a good thing that the supernatural being that runs this whole place and a shit ton of enemies that are attacking me at every turn have done nothing to modify or remove all of the hints as to these weird-ass puzzle things. Like, if he removed even just a couple of keys, Dante wouldn't have even gotten half this far. What is it with Capcom villains leaving long, elaborate puzzles and not just like, you know, fuck with the protagonist? You gotta drink this tonic to open the door. Totally isn't poison, bro. Yeah, there's definitely a key to this door. And then there just isn't one. Like, weld it shut. Also, these weapons were just laying around. What if the grenade launcher was just a bomb? First time I fire it, no more Dante. Oh, but he's part devil and can survive a lot. Yeah, well, the grenade launcher's pretty hefty. Just make it a bigger bomb. Plus, that bitch is magic. Make it a magic bomb. Basically, what I'm getting at is this is all the fault of Mundus. He is his own undoing. I'm just helping things along. I'm met by what is essentially a scythe version of the upgraded scissor dude, and he's a nightmare, but I can move, so he's mostly just a bullet sponge. I was trying to get part of a health upgrade, and I couldn't get in. I figured maybe it wanted me to beat the enemy first, but then it launched me into where it was. I then struggled like hell to get back out, because I could hardly see what I was doing, let alone fight this asshat. I ended up switching to my pistols to kill him, but all of this is to say that most of my struggles in this fight were self-inflicted. He's just floating there. Menacingly! I grabbed Sign of Chastity to prove my worth to a glorified cup that held the blood of the divine dead. With that, I finally know what to beat the eggs in. Our recipe progress is interrupted, though, by ye olde edgelord. His fight is basically the same as the last one, but with less cheese. I'm not really even sure why he followed me here, but he ends up fleeing again. Good thing I definitely won't be fighting him again. That would be ridiculous. Looks like I have to take the chalice all the way to right above where it already was to open a door. I'm greeted by my least favorite screen in the entire game. These are the underwater controls, because this game has underwater sections that it literally hasn't even hinted at up until now. We get control of a ghost ship that I guess will work for us as long as we protect it, because if he won't tell me where those locally grown cocoa beans are, I'll find them myself! It's on this ship that we see Griffin again. It goes pretty much the same as last time. I think these fights were mostly meant to be gun-focused anyways, so it's not like this run changes them all that much. I sank the ship that I was tasked with protecting by picking up a stick from the interior. Hard to argue with that logic. No time like the present, I guess. Anyone who's prone to motion sickness, look away now. The game shifts to first-person mode for reasons beyond mortal understanding. Looking left and right is done with the left analog stick, and it's slower than molasses going uphill in January with crutches. But it's functional? Looking up and down, though, is inverted. I've played enough games in my lifetime that I can shift between inverted and non-inverted pretty quickly, but something about having it only half and half fucks with me in ways that I can't even begin to explain. It's like I'm constantly on a feedback loop of telling me I'm doing it right, only to swap the script when it matters. Also, the choppy movement is due to how this game handles movement underwater. If the controls weren't asinine enough, you can only really move by pressing the bottom face button, which has you lurching forward. And I do mean lurching. To get anywhere, you have to repeatedly press it, like they took a look at the shitty button spamming that Rockstar Games has going on with all their games and said, yeah, let's do that. Everybody loved the carpal tunnel. Let's add more. I don't know if they had even introduced that mechanic to any of their games when this one came out. I don't even think I've looked at a Rockstar game in almost a decade. Regardless, what dev signed off on this? We're given a needle gun, which means our collection of usable weapons has technically improved, but you can literally only use it underwater. And it's the only form of protection that you have underwater. Whoever put this in here is an asshole. All of the underwater combat will be done as it's done in a casual playthrough, but that doesn't really mean it feels playable. Why did devs keep trying to make underwater levels a thing? They're still hardly ever used in a way that's not immediately malicious. Oh god, why? You should be clear to look, as long as the rest of the game doesn't make you nauseous. We're finally back to the Coliseum, and we can make our way inside now. The right side is another health upgrade that I can't access because I need to press buttons to reach it. To make matters even better, it also has another gun that I can't get. The left side has platforming! These perspectives don't make any sense. I can't see what I'm doing or where I'm trying to go, and this game is actively killing me for it. Who the fuck designed this? Into the main area, because I keep getting melee weapons that are just keys. Who made these doors and mechanisms, and also why? Actually, in retrospect, I would probably use a sword for my house key if I could. Also, Griffin again. It's Griffin again. When the fight nears its end, you'll have a shit ton of lightning coming at you, which I'm not good at dodging. I wasn't super bothered by it, though. Bursting it down was a pretty viable option. Griffin insists that my powers are certainly from my dad, then that I'm even more powerful than he. I'm sure this random nobody would have definitely done single combat with Sparta to know exactly how powerful he was. This definitely isn't him making himself feel better about dying like a little bitch. In the end, though, it's actually Mundus that does the thing in for the crime of not killing me. Why he targeted Griffin instead of me, I have no idea. Also, Trish is here now for Dante to monologue about how evil Mundus is. She doesn't really show up often, and it's weird to see her when she pops up. Almost like the plot forgets about her any chance it gets. Also, he says he's sure that Mundus killed his family, which is exactly what you'd say if you weren't sure that you had the right guy. He then swears to kill him. I thought we were already planning on doing that. Like, it was the whole point of the game up until this point. Okay. Alright, just hop onto the elevator. Alright, just hop onto the elevator. Fuck! Just let me leave! Thank you! I managed to get my hands on Mundus' pizza pan. If he refuses to be more generous with cooking, he doesn't get to cook anything. I use it to lower the drawbridge so I can go back to the same place that the game started in. All in all, everything I just did was realistically only to get the boat stick. How many fucking hoops did I jump through all to pick up a stick that, like, how did Dante even know it was there? Why did I leave not knowing if I could come back? How did he even know he needed that specific stick? I just can't follow any of this. The place is a bit different from the last time I was here. I can destroy things like armor now with a grenade launcher, but to my knowledge, there's no way to get the shotgun, and health upgrades just aren't where they were. So that's nice. I hit a button to summon a lightning bat, I guess. An electric shapeshifter, they're extremely resistant to the lightning sword. I'm sure that's really going to put a damper on things. I stopped here to do the rest of my red orb farming for this run. This room has a plasma, and it can be killed and respawned on loot. Easy pickings. I encounter a new boss, which goes by Nightmare. I personally prefer the Dirty Puddle, but I digress. If you start the fight normally, you get pulled into the Shadow Realm, where you kill Spider, and flash your way out, doing a lot of damage to puddles. Well, that won't do. I tried again, but I couldn't seem to avoid the grab attack, so I instead activated the buttons on the sides of the arena. By keeping the lights on with the buttons on the sides, I can expose its core, shoot it, and loop until hell freezes over because this fight is painful, but ultimately just a repetitive gimmick. It doesn't help that the auto-targeting chooses to aim at the puddle when I swing my sword, and the button when I fire my gun. I can't even activate the button, it just likes wasting my time. Only now can I use the boat stick that I found to activate some portals to various places around the area. You would think a map would be a better alternative to leaving, navigating forests, sinking a ship, fighting in an arena, operating a drawbridge, and coming back, but what do I know? I Mario 64 my way to a different part of the castle. Couldn't just walk there? I repeat the process for reasons. Why did I need to teleport twice just to get somewhere different? Where I'm introduced to some ice enemies that I think are weak to the fire fists, but they're also not immune to being blown up, as things rarely are. So a volley of grenades is all it takes to be on my way. I get to the mirror room that was in every game of this era, except it's missing any of its actual puzzle elements that made these fun. Instead, there's a big skeleton that shoots fireballs. It's immune to all forms of weapons, but the fireballs can be deflected back at it. 3 times is all it takes to break it and move on. This isn't technically an enemy. More of a turret, really. A turret that shoots fireballs. I propose that this is actually a gun, and by deflecting the fireballs, I am tangentially passing this hurdle via gun. Alternatively, you can't pass this in any other way that I'm aware of, so gotta do what you gotta do. This section has you jumping across invisible platforms, and the camera even shifts between jumps, making the platforms an absolute nightmare. True to form though, in trying to showcase how hard these few jumps are and how they caused me immense trouble on my first playthrough, I managed to pass them without incident on my first attempt. Because of course. I use a crystal ball full of mercury that somehow absorbed moonlight to open a door because chopped walnuts are delicious, but optional in case of nut allergies. On the other side is another boss fight that I've already done. He pulls a Dragon Ball, which makes him suspiciously more human-like. Otherwise, recycled boss is another recycled boss. Oh wait! He dropped an amulet that looks suspiciously identical to my amulet. Does that mean that he could possibly be my long-lost brother? Mine pops into existence to hammer in the point, but with no way to know for sure if he's my long-lost brother Virgil. Oh, come on! This game has no fucking subtlety. Also, Trish is working for Mundus. Who could have guessed? The amulet's fused and my sword transforms into a different sword, which transforms into a glaive, which transforms into a scythe, which transforms into a sword. Also, it's my dad's sword, I guess. Motion sick people, avert your gaze because hell on earth is back. Why the hell would you do this to me again? Who hurt you, Capcom? Who made you want to inflict this on the mortal realm? What curses were beset upon thee that thou found it appropriate to be such a fucking bitch and make this real? Oh my god, I hate this! Afterwards, you hit a button to... Why god? Why would you do this? You may continue your observance, as I have located one of the eggs that Mundus uses. I shall cast it into the fires to cook it. Pre-cooked egg, huh? Weird recipe. Also, the Dirty Puddle is back. It has more health and is just worse than the last time, which is saying a lot. It ended up taking 5 tries to kill this fucker, and remember, every time I had to reset, I had to go through the water, get out of the water, get back into the water, get the egg, and start cooking. All to meet back with this ass clown. Anyways, eventually I'm free of the fight that I definitely won't have to do again. The doors vanished due to evil powers. Scary. You're right. It is scary that you couldn't give me a better explanation than evil powers. Hey, Nightmare Beta! It's the gun that I couldn't pick up from the Coliseum area. I even found my lost D12! It looks like things are finally turning around. It looks that way, but it's too bad that it sucks! It uses Devil's Trigger to fire and roots you in place to charge, so back to the grenade gun I go. Back to the worst fucking platforming imaginable because these devs hate fun. The worst part is that I'm getting better at it. I make my way into the Demon Dimension place, I guess. Can I just call it Hell or something? I don't know. Which has some of the worst visual effects this game has to offer. While a lot of this game looks like it was at least kind of updated, these doors are just... What is this? Trish needs help, but who could it be? Nightmare? You got that right. Your life is my fucking nightmare because I still wake up to your bullshit! This is the most health this boss will ever have. The room is really small. The camera keeps it off screen for most of the fight. I can't get the game to target what I want. This fight is everything that has given me trouble in this game all at once. And I have to do it again? To make matters worse, when its health gets low enough, Trish starts blasting you from off screen, so you're on a clock to kill the Dirty Puddle before it kills you. I know I give this game a lot of shit, but hot damn is it testing me. I finally managed to rid myself of this fucker, and he ain't coming back. And Dante realizes that she's the worst thing since shredded bread. In spite of that though, he saves her and gives a bullshit reason for why he did it before threatening her life. The game has me running some more busy work before the end, and while moving tunnels I guess are thematically cool for a game this old, those tendrils are awful. They can kill me faster than anything else in the game, and they're a pain in the ass to deal with the grenade launcher. I could have probably used my pistols, but I was desperate to reach the end by this point, and I knew full well the worst was still in store. I more or less brute forced my way through, and made it to a series of raising platforms that needed to be activated via sword. They're nothing special, beyond being weirdly some of the most manageable platforming so far. You waited until the end of the game to make it playable? Wah-haw! And stabby stabby button pushy. We're finally here. The legendary battle. See, it says it right there. But Trish has been captured. Just wait a minute. Her shackles aren't even closed. What's holding her up there? Dante gets skewered for the umpteenth time this game because he doesn't want to move and get her killed. The camera literally focused on the fact that there's nothing holding her there. What is this fuck shittery? Who screwed this up and how? Literally, how did this get past the dev team? This is the HD remake. Did this happen twice? Did they fuck this up both times? How did this get past 2 dev teams? Mundus tries to kill us, but Trish decides to stop floating in the air, held up by the 3 polygons that make up her face, I guess, and takes the hit for us, killing her instantly. Look, the shackles aren't even there in this shot. They care so little about the restraints that they just stopped existing. They regressed from holding nothing to not even showing up. Who the fuck made these things? Because they're bloody useless. He tries again to shoot us, which Dante deflects. He of course will not do this at all during the boss fight, because cutscene Dante and gameplay Dante are 2 entirely different people. Mundus reveals that he made Trish. Intentionally. He personally crafted the female lead character to appear like Dante's mother to lure him to this island and kill him, I guess? And he also decided to design her in such a way as to have her serve as early 2000s sex appeal, because game devs still haven't really figured out how to stop objectifying women for 2 minutes. But at least most of them don't make it a thing between the protagonist and the character's not mother. I know they don't really seem to have a relationship because there's 0 chemistry between literally any character in this game, but given that the game puts you in his boots, it just, I don't know, it feels wrong. Anyways, we're transformed into a demonic form that looks like our old man, which has a shooting, I say again, shooting runes at the big bad. Of course, we're back to half-inverted, half-not controls because fuck my life. I can't dodge for shit, and each rune is an individual tap. So, yes, I'm in literal physical pain. I was at the time, and I still am as of writing this. This phase was more luck than anything else, because I genuinely can't control this. You can use your devil trigger to send a dragon devil thing at the guy, but that's not a gun, as much as I want it to be. Maybe if I was a Dragapult instead? Dare to dream. I felt like I didn't have any real control over anything that was happening, so I just kind of hoped until I managed to somehow survive on almost no health. This wasn't my first try, and I was overjoyed, but also terrified that I would have to do that again. At this point, I wasn't sure how many more attempts I had left in me. I immediately activated my devil trigger because I desperately needed the health. You can't change to a different melee weapon for a different devil trigger. Seeing as these guns are throwing those arcs, I'm inclined to say that this counts as within the set rules. This fight is mostly just trying to avoid damage while recovering my non-existent health. I flip-flopped between trying to focus him down before I died and trying to stabilize. As you can probably see, I was, not doing well in either aspect. After what seems like a genuinely merciful phase, Mundus goes down. The relief I felt, I tell you what. Afterwards, Dante laments being unable to save Trish and just...
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light!
Peak voice acting. Peak voice acting right here. Eat your heart out, Matt Mercer. Dante then gives this woman that hardly knows him some of the last things his parents left him, as well as a memento of his brother. One of those things being a key to transport across different dimensions, and the other being an incredibly powerful sword that I guess he figures he'll just never need again. I mean, I won't need it, but he might. But of course, that's not it. We now need to escape the island before it explodes. On the way out, the floor collapses, and I did tell you that literally every boss is used multiple times. Of course, Mundus isn't gone, and we no longer have the super sword. Smooth moves, Dante. We pretty much just shoot him like we would anything else. There is a beautiful simplicity to it, really. A game that's had 2 decades and a re-release to fix its subtitles left the contraction "you are" instead of the possessive "your." I get making mistakes, so air is human and all that. But you have a dev team and a shit ton of players, and this made it to the re-release? This game just lacks any sort of polish. They couldn't even crop the health bar correctly. Look at this shit. Immersion broken. To make matters worse though, Trish is alive and well. I'm gonna level with you, I have no idea what that was supposed to be. But apparently she's stronger than Sparta because the power she lends Dante is way fucking better than whatever I was using before. Good thing too, because she didn't even bring the shit you left with her. Guess she didn't want your stuff either. He points out the devils can't cry, even though she does, meaning she's human, I guess. It's a leading game title. The game delivers us an escape off the island because plot, and because I haven't suffered enough, it's briefly a Star Fox game with nauseating camera movement and the same shitty control scheme as the flying boss fight. Alright, I finally found the last parts of... He just uses a cheap box mix and literal magic? Are you fucking kidding me? They fly off into the horizon, agreeing to partner up to hunt demons and the newly renamed Devil Never Cry. But that's the game. If you're willing to allow for the character deflecting fireballs and the demon forms in the final boss fight, then yeah. I beat Devil May Cry with only guns. If not, feel free to disagree. I'm not gonna stop you. As much shit as I give this game, I had fun with it. It's sort of in a so bad it's good territory. I can see why people would enjoy how cheesy this whole thing is. Anyways though, I hope you enjoyed your time here. You probably know how to use social media, and I hope that means I'll get to hear your thoughts now and on any future outing. Until then, remember to stay safe, spread some kindness in the world, and I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye. No.